This next tutorial will go over how to use the rifle databook features. Once you're in practice or inside of a course, select which target you'll be firing on. It's very important to select the distance and the position you're going to be in. We'll go over why shortly. In this instance, we've selected the able target in the kneel-in position at 200 yards. Once you have all of your settings in place, touch the Done button. The first step is to select your suggested hold. A neat feature of this application is that based on the position you're firing in and the distance that you're firing at, it'll maintain your suggested hold for those two settings. The type of target you're shooting on doesn't matter. So this will allow you to go between different targets using the same sit-in position or kneel-in position or stand-in or prone at the same distance, and immediately get a suggested hold from the application in the instance that you're using a custom target or you're shooting on a different target at the same distance in the same position. For this example, the first step is touching the suggested hold button. We see that the suggested hold is no longer transparent, and we can keep it in this position, or we can use our finger to select where we would like the suggested hold to be. Considering this is our first shot in this position at this distance, we'll go with the suggested hold. To get to the next step, touch the button in the bottom right that says Next Step. At this time, you are to plot your call. When shooting a rifle, the call is where you last saw the front sight post before the shot went off. It is not where you think it's going to impact. Understand that your suggested hold may not be in the center. It could be off to the left or off to the right, depending on where your group is landing, the minutes of angle in your rifle, and other factors. So in this instance, once we touch the screen, we'll see that because of some of the movement of the front sight post, we'll document the call slightly off to the right from where the hold was. The hold is where we are placing the front sight post, where we want it to be when it goes off. The call is where it was at the moment that it went off, the last place you saw it before the recoil disrupted your sights. After you've plotted the call, touch the Next Step button. The last step for this shot group is plotting your shot. You can zoom into the target, and once zoomed into the target, plot your shot by touching the screen to identify where the pits identified your shot impacting. In this case, our shot was 12 inches off to the right. When plotting your shot, you can plot one shot, or you can plot multiple shots, depending on what the drill calls for. In this case, we only need to plot one shot. So we'll press the refresh button to clear all of the shots placed, and once again apply the one shot. Next, touch Finish Step, and now it will allow you to start to plot your next shot group. We can see already that the suggested hold tells us to aim in an equal and opposite direction of where our shots impacted. To some, this is known as Kentucky windage or offset aiming, and that is exactly what the suggested hold is recommending you do. Rather than select the suggested hold button, we'll touch the same as last button instead, and that brings our hold back to the center. Then click Next Step, and once again is asking us for a call. In this instance, when we plotted our call, let's imagine we were aiming at the target. Our front sight post was shifting from left to right slightly, a little bit up and down, and at the moment that it went off, bang! The last place you saw your front sight post was to the bottom left of where you wanted it to be. The next step is to plot the shot. Once the pits identifies where your shot impacted, we see that the shot impacted about the same place, just slightly lower. which makes sense considering the last place we saw our front sight post when the shot went off was just a little bit low and left from where we were holding it. At this point, select Finish Step. Now for the third shot, we see that the suggested hold changed again just slightly. And at this point, since we have a nice tight group with our first two shots, rather than taking a third shot, let's go ahead and take the recommendation of the app. This time we'll select Suggested Hold and select the Next Step button. And now we're in position. We're holding at the new spot on the target as recommended by the application. And when the shot goes off, the last place we remember seeing the front side post was slightly high and to the right. Let's say that the reason the shot was slightly high and to the right this time is because we anticipated the shot and pushed into it to anticipate the recoil. At this point, select the Notes button, enter anticipated the shot, and go back to practice. From here, we are ready to go ahead and enter the shot. By this time, the pits has revealed where the shot impacted, and we see after zooming in and plotting our shot, it impacted just a little bit high but center. So at this time, we'll go ahead and select Finish Step. To review our progress, touch the Next Step button and slide from right to left. Now we can see where all of our shots impacted, or by pressing the plus or minus sign, we can go through all the shots one by one. Here we see where the hold, call, and shot impact of group 1. By hitting the plus sign, we can see where shot group 2 impacted. By hitting the plus sign once again, we can see what was done for shot group 3. And here we can see that the hold was changed. For the first time, the call was slightly high and to the right, but the impact was center in the black where we want it. By hitting a plus sign one last time, we can see all of the data on the screen once again. By touching the minus sign and dragging over from left to right, we can continue to plot shots. If at this time we are done, we can go ahead and touch the Done button.